Hey everybody, how we doing today? So today is kayak repair day. Today was the DIY part. This is more don't fix it, don't go fishing. So we're gonna get on that today. One of the things we're gonna be working on is this motor. It's got a few problems. One is it wasn't running, but I think I know what that is, or I semi fixed it, but then I have to get it up and running. There's just this little either a power or ground wire that goes to the ignition, and that had fallen off because it was loose and it was just sitting there, so that probably killed the motor. I didn't know that, and I was pumping and gassing for about 5-10 minutes before I figured that out. So I think I flooded the motor out, so I need to pull the plugs, check it out, let it dry out, and then see if we can get it fired again. I do need to get more shear pins since I used all those up. And then I also need to get a safety lanyard. It's the on-off lanyard, so you basically has a clip there that keeps this button pulled out, and that allows it to fire. But you tie the little lanyard to your body, you go overboard, it pulls it out, and then this goes back in and shuts the motor off. So I need one of those as well, since I lost that one. I just got it kind of rigged up. Then the kayak. Now the kayak's got a couple different problems as well. This just happened, which is my up-down rudder line. I pulled it out, traced it and pulled it out, but it snapped off in the back somewhere. I think wherever it dang it, goes through this tube, comes out there, and then it goes to the mechanism, and it basically pulls it up and then pushes it down and locks the rudder down so that it stays vertical. So I got to rewire or retie that. Then we've got this here. You can see a crack. I went ahead and drilled the stop points for it just on the ends there and there to prevent any more cracking. So I need to plastic weld that. That's from that ladder sitting inside here without any support for it. I've been just cheating it for a while just to see how long it would last, but it started to tear right at this corner point here because there's no reinforcement, so it's kind of a natural weak spot. So I'm going to plastic weld that. That gets us back to on the water again, and then I'm going to create a base underneath here, a support that goes in between the bottom of the shell and then the upper shell, and that'll support the ladder there. All I really needed to do was just put some sort of piece in there so it wasn't all the weight in one spot, and that would have fixed that. Then I figure while I'm at it, I'll replace my hole numbers there. Identification numbers are all worn out, and I might go ahead and just stick them up here on the front, since that gets less damage from me dragging it through the mangroves and stuff. Then I've got to fix my wiring because this cap is bad. It just pops off and falls off sometimes. So I need to make that fix. And what else? This seat's all jacked up. Need to kind of get it a little bit more balanced there. The knots keep slipping, so I'm always sideways. But that is what we need to do to get back to fishing. Yay! It's alive! Alright, the outboard is done. Changed the spark plug. That basically fixed that issue. I tightened up that wire that fell off that caused the whole problem to start with. Went by West Marine, got a couple of shear pins temporarily, and then I ordered my long length so I have some backups, because if I'm going to be doing a lot of the flats fishing, these shear pins get destroyed pretty quickly hitting that hard bottom.
Okay, so these are the things I need to order online. So this is the safety lanyard, $8 for 2 of them. And the other I need to get is, I actually went and picked up some temporary ones. I got a 2-pack of the shear pins for $5, but I also order these 6-inch lengths of the brass rods and then just cut them myself. So for $4.80, I get 6 of them, versus the same price and only getting 2 at West Marine. So we're going to buy another one of those and then start working on something else.
Then I ordered the safety lanyard, so I'll get those in a couple days. It'll be good to go. Temporarily I got the rope tied on there, and that works. Topped off the oil. This thing burns as much oil as a 2-stroke. It's actually a 4-stroke, but it's a tired old motor. Got a lot of hours on this one, but I keep patching repairing it. I think I've torn it apart down to block and pistons 3 times already, but it still keeps chugging along, and I like it because I could really just beat the crap out of it, not worry, especially for the short runs, the inshore stuff that I do. And then I've got the new, the brand new one that I use for the offshore, that just strictly for offshore. So anyways, motor stuff is done, so we can get moving on the kayak. Alright, next we're going to work on the up and down broken rudder line. I know where the issue is. It basically broke off on the inside of this wheel, this pulley that's inside there. Basically 2 lines run back. One is for pulling the rudder up and out of the way, and then one to pull it down. It's the twist and stow style Hobie rudder. I'm not sure. This must be for the up, and the one that broke is for the down. And they're inside here. Basically, the line, both lines come in through this port here. One comes around this way, and one goes around this way. So when one pulls, it twists the pulley one direction, that lifts it. Pull the other one, it twists it the other way, and then that locks it down. So pretty basic concept. So I just got to take the bolt out of here, open it up, and then run that line through the kayak, and then retie it, and we should be good. To separate these two, all you have to do is basically unscrew this nut here, and then this cap will, these two pieces will separate, and then you can see the pulley on the inside. Okay, now that that bolts out, these two will separate, and then you can see the insides of the pulley there, how one line runs this way and then through, and then the other one is supposed to go the other way around this direction. And actually, this is looking from the other side. You can see where the line broke right on the inside there. Okay, I've got it all tied up, so the 2 lines, this side goes around into the hole and comes out on the side here, and then the second line, which broke, goes around this way through the hole, and then they get tied together on the outside, and then that keeps them from pulling back out. So now I just got to put it back together again, and we should be done. Next we're going to do is plastic weld this crack that I got in this cup holder here. That's from that ladder. I have it wedged in here, and I just was too lazy to support it, but so it kind of cracked at this weak point where the cup holder goes down and meets the flat spot. But anyways, where the crack was, I went ahead and did some relief holes, drilled some holes at both ends of the crack. That'll prevent it from spreading further. Also, what I've built is a PVC pill support, and that's going to wedge underneath there. And what that's going to do is threefold. One, it gets both of them wedged back together, so it narrows that crack, because right now the cup holder side was starting to sag, so it was a bigger gap. That PVC pipe will wedge them both back together again and gets that crack back to nothing. 2, it'll prevent the plastic from sagging when I heat it. Once you get to that point where the plastic is malleable, you risk that it'll actually start sucking into itself. So that's going to prevent that, and it'll keep it rigid there. And then 3, that'll be my final support for when I use the ladder. So I'll figure a way to wedge it, or maybe drill it in there, or glue it or something. Or I just might make it where I just wedge it in there when I use the ladder. So let's get patch welding. Okay, let's get started. So we're gonna use the torch, like I said, to get both the kayak crack kind of softened to the point where it's malleable, but it happens really quickly with this torch. Generally, I wouldn't recommend using a torch unless you're familiar with it, because it goes fast. And then we'll have this piece I'm going to do at the same time, just alternate between the two and try to get them to the point that they'll melt into each other. And that's what you're looking to do, is melt this plastic into that plastic so it becomes one when it cools off. All right, let's go for it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can tell that it's already getting kind of glistening. That means that it's heating. I want to get both of these things heated up. Yeah, it's already starting to sag there. So I'm going to start pushing them both down. And then use my wand to start pushing them into the plastic. Yeah, that went really fast. Gotta be very, very careful. This side is already sunken in a bit on the cup holder where I don't have that base. And I can see where the red and the blue are actually mixing there. So that's good. Here I didn't put a lot of heat on, but it is mixing as well. The other thing I have is a 2 liter of water here that I could pour on this if I started getting overheating it and it starts to get out of control. I just douse it with water and that would solidify all this stuff and stop it from melting. I'm going to go ahead and cool it down. Prevent the because it'll stale and it'll start sagging because how hot it is, especially these peripheral areas. So I want to stop that as soon as possible. And then it becomes hard as a rock. Alright, it's done. The key thing, which is good that I use this red plastic versus the blue, is that you can see is that you know that you've done it right when you have the mixing of the colors. So right along that crack line there, you can see the red and the blues mixed in, and then the different color hazes of the red where it's totally mixed. That means I got good penetration and that the two plastics melded together. So it becomes one chunk of plastic at that point. I mean, you can see it now because I used red, but it's a good example to know that you've done it correctly and that it is going to be solid. So I'll have this wedged under there. I might do it all the time, or I might just... This is really not a weak point to worry about in general use. It was just because I had the ladder there, but I could figure out a way to mount this in there and make it permanent. I might actually stick it in there, drill a hole through this to the piece, and then that way it stays in one spot. But otherwise, we are good. All the projects are done except for the numbers. I just need to go down to Home Depot. I'll probably do that today still. I could throw them on there. But all the repairs are done. I even did a makeshift kayak stand there because the roofers next door stole my board. But that was that broken paddle I had gotten, and then yeah, put it to use, recycled it, took off one end, and it's just about perfect height. And ready to go. Oh, and plus the Civic got a new radiator and a new electric fan. I just did that this week as well, so we're rolling.
Now, just to get my general day before guesstimate of what I want to be doing, I go straight to wind finder. Sunny, windy, east to west, 20 to 25 knots. Okay, that tells me everything. That eliminates offshore. That eliminates the reef. That means the flats are going to be kind of muddied up in silty waters, especially since we're about, what, day 3 or day 4 into this wind. So definitely flats is going to be kind of crappy. And then with 20 to 25s, I'm looking at needing to tuck in very close to some mangroves. So that'll narrow it down even more. And that's basically all I need to know for making plans for tomorrow. I could take a longer look at the forecast. I know by looking at this with a dip there that it's not going to be bluebird sunny skies here. What that generally is that there's a reversal of a storm or another storm front coming in, and they just neutralizes it and they flip-flop directions. Yeah, so you'll see the winds start fluctuating and rotating all around. That's all it is. It's just a neutral condition there. Still going to be rainy, no sun. So it's definitely not going to be cleaning up for another week here. It just might not have as much wind, but you have to deal with storms and rain. And it's going to change. Being a week out, this is still going to change. So still very volatile. But yeah, these 3 days looking kind of crappy, but good for a windy day, specialized fishing videos. So we're good to go.
All right, so we've got our data. So just a matter of coming up with a plan and implementing it tomorrow. What I highly recommend to people visiting, coming down, and you're planning on doing some fishing, is do what I'm doing and use it as a good educational tool. It doesn't matter if you're coming in a week, a month, a year from now, all right? Just take a look, go to Windfinder this week and just say, I just arrived in Key West. I'm here for a week. This is what the weather gods gave me. What am I gonna do? All right. So that's the conditions. You got 4 or 5 days of some 20 to 25s. Then you have a couple of days where it's gonna dip, but it's gonna be rainy days. All right. What are you gonna do? Okay. If you had originally come and say, oh, I'm going 30 miles offshore and catch dolphins and marlins and all this stuff. All right. Ain't happening. Okay. Possibly you spend $1,500, $2,000 for one of the big sports fishers. They might take you out there, or maybe the Coast Guard cutter. But regular open boat ain't gonna make it. Flats, like I said, you can get out there, but you'll be fishing in mud. So unless you're gonna just be hanging out in Duval for a week and not fish, what are you going to do if you have these circumstances? And you're going to say, well, that might not be what it is when I come. I'll tell you, probably 15 out of 20 visitors, that's the conditions you're going to see, okay? And 3 out of those 20 are going to have maybe 3 or 4 decent days, okay? And 2 out of that 20 are going to have 4 or 5 like bluebird, sunny, flat, calm days. But in your instance, you never know. What are you going to do? And that'll help you out to at least get on the water. So anyways, thanks for watching. Check it out tomorrow. Bring a windbreaker and we'll see if we can catch something. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye.